everyone. So we are back with episode 3 of the Well Balanced series, and I'm actually in Park City today, so a little different scenery for this live. But I'm going to be talking with Jessica from More Than Food Nutrition, so I'm going to tap her into this live, and then we will get started with that conversation. But Jessica is a nutritional consultant. We actually met a few years ago and have stayed connected, so I'm very excited to be able to chat with her. See here. Here we go. And talk about health. Hi, Jessica.
Hello, Kelly.
How are you?
Great. So you're on vacation?
Yes, I am in Park City, Utah. You might be able to see a little bit behind me here.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So Daniel's parents have a little place here, so we come up like once a year. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's kind of cold, but
Oh,
nice change of scenery.
yes. Can you see my whole head?
Yes, I can. I know,
Okay.
and I have a weird glare on my face, so we're just gonna go with it.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
how are you? It's been so long.
I know, doing fine, thanks. Not on vacation.
Good. Well,
That's awesome.
I know I was debating not doing one this week, but I was like, I want to stay consistent, and everyone's still kind of working, so it kind of makes sense.
It's great.
Um, but yeah, so just for the audience purposes, I just wanted to kind of do an introduction with you, see, kind of what got you into what you're doing now, your journey with nutrition in general. And then it seems like, recently you've kind of made the twist to prenatal, postnatal, child health, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
just a topic we definitely want to include more of it on our feed and our page. So would love to support. But yeah, just want to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Of
I
course.
love talking nutrition, as you and I could talk for hours about nutrition. So, it's funny. This is a total God story because I had no intention of doing nutritional work. I thought that I would be a nonprofit for my entire life since I was little. I thought that I'd be a nonprofit work. Love to help people. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram. So I went to school and I studied anthropology, and specifically, so anthropology is the study of cultures and people. And I specifically studied the culture of sex trafficking in the US.
Wow.
And I moved to Atlanta with the impression that I would work with a nonprofit that fights trafficking here. So really passionate about women and women's health and women's studies and all that. And anyway, so just felt really led to that population. And then long story short, all the jobs that I thought that I was going to get, I didn't. And so I was in Iowa, where I'm from, and I just thought, okay, what am I going to do? God, what do you want me to do? And I researched being a doula and a midwife and, just all these different careers around women's health. And one day I went to a farmer's market in Iowa and I found this table tent of a chiropractic office, and they said, we're having a nutrition night. And I thought, okay. I've been studying on my own about nutrition and kind of liked it. So I went and I fell in love with it. I was like, I have to be able to teach people how to eat. This is awesome. So long story short, I felt called to be in Atlanta still, contacted as
Okay.
chiropractic offices as I could because the person there said, hey, just find a chiropractor who does nutrition. And I thought, sounds easy enough. And no one was hiring. And so I thought, man, what do you want me to do, God? So I just, kind of prayed through it all summer. And then I found a chiropractor in Kennesaw who connected me with Dr. Cohen. And Dr. Cohen said, hey, I don't have a nutrition program and I have no desire to create one, but if you come run my office for me as an office manager, you can create it yourself. And I thought, done, I'm in. So a week later, I moved down from Iowa to Atlanta in a car packed full of things with a house. I roomed with some girls from college. And within 2 years, I had my own nutrition practice. And it's where I've been
That's
going.
amazing.
It's been
That's
really
so awesome.
cool. Thank
And
you.
that's where, for you guys listening, that's where me and Jess met. She was working at Corrective Chiropractic in Buckhead, and then we met there because I was a member, I guess.
Fine, yeah.
And yeah, and then that kind of was there. And I interviewed her sister last week, so it's funny how it all comes
So,
full circle.
yeah, so she's actually studying to be a nutritionist also. So it's really neat.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So, tell us how you got into the kind of, obviously you had a child, so that's a huge factor, but what kind of turned your positioning? Because I know when I worked with you, I know you still do a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
but kind of your specific approach to nutrition and what your, resources are that you offer and things like that.
Sure. So ever since I started doing nutrition work, it's more functional. So people will come in with allergies or digestive issues or acne or hormonal issues or whatever it is. And we figure out what's the root cause of that. And we change lifestyle and we work with herbs and whole food based supplements, things that I always tell people you can take or eat the liver, but either way it's going in your body.
Right.
So just things that we would used to eat back in the day, but we don't. So always have been working with functional nutrition. I still do. I found this little niche with pediatrics and prenatal. I loved being pregnant, Kelly. I would be pregnant every day of my life.
Said no one ever.
I think that is exactly it. A person should love being pregnant because we shouldn't have to have all these symptoms. We
Hmm.
so normalize pregnancy symptoms all the time. You're supposed to just get swollen and look pregnant and get constipated and get heartburn and just gain a bunch of weight. That's what we're supposed to do in our culture, but we're not. I mean, everyone's body's so different, so everyone's protocol nutritionally looks different, to help combat some of those things. But
Right.
I mean, pregnancy should really be something you enjoy. So that's my mission is to help women enjoy pregnancy and not more so, but equally, but also quite a bit. I care about all the children so much, and I just see, I work a lot with kids of all ages. I worked with a little baby. She was about 3 months the other day, and then
Oh.
kids who are like 13 to 18. I mean, it's a range, but I see them with these symptoms that they don't have to have.
Hmm.
Are very much from environmental things, deodorants and toxic products. A lot of it's sugar. I had a
Hmm.
little girl and she had she's 3 months old, rashes everywhere. I got her mom off dairy because she's breastfeeding and they almost cleared up instantly. But then, they came back, so we had to figure out, okay, if it's not the dairy, what else? And so we had to find out what was wrong with her gut. And then, just working through those issues. So I just feel passionate that women should love being pregnant and or just feel well. They should just for their own body's sake, they should just feel well. And their child is affected by how that mom's pregnancy is and then what the mom eats, if breastfeeding and or what kind of formula is used. So just really care about moms and kids.
Yeah, I think that's it's a trending conversation for the past few weeks I've had already that women just we're normalizing things that aren't normal, and it's just a crazy thing, even from like last week we talked with Madison about like digestion and bloating and that whole thing, and it's just like bloating is such a common thing, but it's not normal.
Right.
Headaches and like you said, pregnancy, and it's people are just like, oh, it's genetics, or oh, I just got lucky or whatever, and it's just more, I think, when we start asking why and diving deeper into that, I think it's really awesome that you want people to have that experience because it is a joyful time, and it's of course there's downs, I'm sure, but
Right.
at the comparatively what is going to be a really bad negative versus something a little off here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so awesome. So I love that you're doing that, and I think it's really cool that you specifically help moms and kids. I mean, I definitely want to be very mindful what my kids are eating and what they're doing because I do believe it impacts behavior and impacts their mindset and how they're functioning in just everyday life. um
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little windy here, hopefully you can hear
No,
me okay.
that's okay. And I can tell you
But
the story, Kelly, I think is really powerful. I work with three little boys. They are, let's see, 4, 6, and 9, I think. So all three little boys. And the middle child came in. His mom brought him in initially to start. And she said, I love my children so much. This child has such anger issues that it has affected our entire family, including our extended family. She says, it's wrecking our days because it just affects everybody. And it wasn't a lack of love for her child, but was at her wit's end. She's like, I don't know what to do with him. And so did some testing on him and tried to figure out what it is. And his liver was jacked what is he, 5 or 6 year old? And so anyway, we just did some really good nutritional support with him. We changed some dietary things. We worked on emotional things. We just did this whole rounded thing. We really worked on his liver. And I'm not kidding. Within 1 month, that mom came in and she said, everyone has noticed the change in him. He is calm. He is happy. He is friendly. He is not having these outbursts. And it's amazing because organs are associated with emotions. And
mm-hmm.
specifically, if a person is really angry, irritable, resentful, those 3 emotions go with the liver. So I'd want to look at your liver, for instance. So it's really cool how to utilize even emotions to figure out what's going on with your kid.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's, even just from, going through women's cycles and it's like, oh, we have PMS or whatever, it's like men just stay away. Oh my goodness. Um, he looked at me and was like, oh shoot, thank you.
That's funny.
Hold on.
That's okay.
He's going away. Can you hear me or no?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. He's working his way away from me. I don't even know what I was saying. What was I
We're
saying?
talking about just with children. We're talking about emotions and how they work with PMS and
Yes,
organ.
yes, and just like again, there's a connection there, and it's
Hmm.
what's driving that. Again, why? And I just think it's more. There's of course levels of different things, and you're not. No one's going to be. There might be a really person that never experiences anything, but at the same time, there's a healthy balance with it all, and I think it's really important that you ask yourself those questions and get deeper. Um, so tell me a little bit now that, like specifically, for someone like me, I haven't gone down that pregnancy road yet. So for somebody, some common questions, how early or is it too early to ever start taking prenatals? What can you do now to set yourself up for success if you are within the year of getting, trying, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's great. So definitely want to make sure that your body is ready. So if a body is not ready to carry a baby long term, it won't let you. You want to make sure that everything's really on point. Like I said, you want to make sure bowels are really good and really flowing. You should have 1 to 2 bowels every day. The liver should be really clear because that's a huge hormonal balance in the body is the liver. And you want to make sure that obviously your hormones are balanced. And the last thing actually that people don't really think about is blood sugar. So if we have a lot of sugar cravings, things like that. Now it's not to say you can't get pregnant if any of these things are off track a little bit, but it's just saying that we want to make sure that your body is in its healthiest state. So prenatals. My philosophy and how we practice at our office is very much on whole food based support. So most prenatals are isolated, which means a company extracts nutrients from a plant or a food or whatever it is, or more than likely they create it in a lab. They put it in a prenatal and say, here you go, here's everything you need. Well, how I explain it to people is let's take vitamin C, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Vitamin C is in a lot of fruits, a lot of veggies, and let's say that my whole hand is the vitamin C complex that comes in nature.
Okay.
Now, they will extract the ascorbic acid. So like if you see on the back of the label, it'll say vitamin C and then parentheses ascorbic acid. We've all seen
Yes.
that. This is the ascorbic acid, and here are all the cofactors that make the whole thing work. Okay? So they'll take this piece and put it in a capsule and say, here in your prenatal, here is your vitamin C. But that's misleading because you're just getting ascorbic acid. So that'll work temporarily because more than likely from your diet, you'll have these other cofactors. However, you're not going to get all these all the time because you're just getting pounded with ascorbic acid. Does that make sense?
Yes.
These will eventually get used up. So then your body's going to say, I recognize that as part of a vitamin I'm familiar with, but I don't really know what it is, so let me just pee it out. That's when they say you pee out your vitamins. It's kind of like if I give you a brand new car and everything is perfect, except you don't have a steering wheel. You're like, I can't really use this. So that's what happens when we have isolated vitamins and minerals. So what I really prefer is that people do, if they're going to do a prenatal, they want to do a whole food based one. And that's going to mean that you look on that label and you're going to see tons of foods on there. Because then the body's saying, here you go, here's part of a beetroot, or
Mm-hmm.
here's part of a carrot. Body, do what you got to do with it. Here are all the
Right.
pieces. So there are a couple prenatals that are okay. They're still isolated, so I don't love them. They're isolated with food. We tend to use some different brands that are whole food based. So it's not just one prenatal, but kind of a conglomeration of things that really support blood sugar, liver, hormones, immune system, all of the gamut. But there are definitely some out there. But we want to make sure that everything is whole food based for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a lot more into the ascorbic acid, and everything, and just focusing on that whole food. And then I've seen more with like beef liver capsules instead, and
Mm-hmm.
doing that. It's interesting though because there's only so much value I feel in that little, and also supplements are supplemental to your lifestyle, right? No matter what, you always have to focus on the root, which is real food.
Yep. And
Um,
I tell people, I say, I'm giving you these supplements and whole, because I tell people, like, this is all just food and herbs. So you can take it or
mhm,
eat it. I talked about at the beginning. I said, but a supplement will never outweigh a bad diet. You can't
right.
get your way to health with a bad diet. So we always have to still focus on what are we eating? Are we gotten the sugars out? Have we gotten a lot of the caffeine out? and the alcohol and, live life, but just choose better alternatives. Whenever you're a new client here at my practice, you always get 2 documents and they have favorite food swaps. So if you love crackers, eat this. If you love cookies, eat this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would still say if you love crackers, why? That could be an adrenal issue. If you love cookies, that could be a pancreatic issue. They're all still root causes. If you're going to eat
Right.
it, just choose a better option.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I love that. Because again, it's not giving up things you love, it's just finding a healthier way to eat it.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
tons of stuff out there. So if there was a actual, prenatal supplement that you would recommend to anybody listening, would there be one that they could buy online that you like, or is it mostly the ones that you guys just have?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't use prenatal supplements with clients. I could do some research for you. I don't really use them. We use a couple different brands. Like we use Standard Process, which is a
Mm-hmm.
Whole Foods brand. And then I use Biotics Research, which is a Whole Foods-based brand, and Premier. So we use a couple different brands that are not, I don't just give people a prenatal. We're really focusing on, okay, what does your body need? And we'll fill in all the gaps with the food-based supports. But I can
Absolutely.
do research for you if you'd like. But those are what we
Yeah,
use to work. We do not we. The foods do amazing things for people. It's awesome.
absolutely. Okay, so then let's talk about during pregnancy. What are some big tips that you would recommend during that, 9 months to really help with kind of alleviating some of those main symptoms people experience?
Yeah, for sure. So I always tell people what you eat matters. People will say, we're just eating for 2. I'm trying to eat everything I can. This is an excuse to eat whatever I want, and it's not. Not only you're eating for 2, but you're not eating 2 adult calorie sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to make sure that you're eating enough. 100%. I want every woman who's pregnant to eat plenty of food. But with that, I want to make sure it's the right food because everything you eat builds your body. I tell women, it's such a miracle. I love it. You're literally creating a human life in your own body. And the building blocks of that baby is based on what you put in your body because that's the building block. So if my building blocks that I give my body are Cheetos and cereal and donuts, then my baby will be built on that. And my baby could potentially, not always, it's not a cause, whatever, different thoughts on it, but my baby could be more likely to have diabetes and obesity younger, or asthma, or ADHD, or different brain things, And we don't ever diagnose children, and we don't ever, or adults for that matter. But if we're having those foods versus if we have consistently avocados and dark leafy greens and really good grass-fed meats, our baby's going to just be built differently. And so I tell people this is your one chance to really
Mm-hmm.
set up your child's microbiome, your child's brain, your child's immune system, everything for life. So what you eat matters.
So what would you say to clients who really do have those really deep cravings and it is a Big Mac from McDonald's or something like that, and maybe they have a good balance of both of, or not, I wouldn't say the balance of the negative foods, but more just they have a very positive everyday diet, but that craving just kind of overpowers. What would you say?
Yeah, cravings are real. Man, I remember when I was pregnant, I had some sugar cravings that I was like, oh, I understand my client. I get it. And that just, to me, as a functional practitioner, that tells me, okay, what's going on with that person's adrenal glands and what's going on with that person's pancreas, which is blood sugar. So then we have different whole food-based supports and dietary recommendations for that specifically. So when I work with a pregnant mom, I walk you through every test you're going to take with pregnancy, every step of the way. So within your second trimester, you're going to go through a glucose test to make sure your blood sugar is okay. So we want to make sure that we prepare your body. So if you're having a lot of cravings, we'll do a lot of foods that are high in chromium because chromium is really great with blood sugar. Or make sure that you're eating plenty of protein and fat because those will help curb cravings.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do a lot of avocado and olive oil and nuts and seeds and grass-fed butter. That's going to be a key, coconut, things like that. So if you're having a lot of cravings and you're pregnant, obviously check with a practitioner to see if there's anything herbally you can do because we want to be careful with herbs in pregnancy, but also get lots of fat in the body. Lots of fat. Also, the mom's breast milk is mostly cholesterol and fat, which ironically are the 2 foods that we're supposed to stay away from. So, like as a culture, they've said stay away from red meat and eggs from cholesterol, which
Right.
if we go back to who funded that research, it's actually sugar companies that funded that research, which makes sense why the whole nation then, bought into that. But my whole point in saying that is that fats are going to be great for you as a mom with blood sugar issues, but also building up your baby.
Love that. Yeah. And I love that blood sugar. We teach that in the Well Balanced program as well, because it is the foundation of everything. And I think that
Yeah.
it's insane how, I mean, I think I really only started kind of really tapping into that
Mhm.
a few years ago, but it's just amazing that, um, it really, it's the foundation for everything. And even when I'm traveling, people are always asking, how can you stay, motivated, I guess, or, on
Yeah.
track, whatever. And it's like, I just make sure I have those things in my mind. I have the protein, the fat, fiber / greens, and I'm good to go. And eat
Hmm.
enough, and you just kind of have that. And then, of course, you indulge, you enjoy, which I think you should, as humans should. But it's just
Yeah.
always having that foundation and remembering
Hmm.
those
And
building blocks.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. I was good.
I will say that with sugar, what I find with myself, but then also with several of my clients, like I just had somebody tell me this yesterday, if someone is having a lot of blood or sugar cravings and they get off of the sugar for a little bit and we work with them, or even if we don't, but they just get off of the sugar for a little bit, they feel better, obviously. But then you add the sugar back in and it's automatic addiction to it again.
Mm-hmm.
Because sugar is more addictive, they found, than cocaine. And so if cocaine, we all know how addictive that is. And sugar is a stronger drug. And that's why sugar is, they sneak it into everything. If you look on the back of your package things, you're like, there's sugar in my ketchup? You bet there is. My barbecue sauce? You bet. In my bread, in my packaged items, it's everywhere because they know that. They know the science behind it and that it's addictive. So when you're pregnant, it's even harder to say no to that sometimes because your hormones are kind of going a little crazy because they're
Right.
creating. So that's why it's really important to get that under control if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and then let's move on to postnatal. So somebody asked the question yesterday. They were just saying that they're 11 months postpartum, just kind of struggling to lose a little bit of weight, get back to kind of where they were. So we just talked about blood sugar, of course, and
Mhm.
figuring that out. So would that be a huge component that you would kind of, for women that are kind of in that funky phase,
Yeah.
it's been almost a year, what would you say would be some initial things to start working on?
Yeah, that's really great. That's really great. I just had this conversation with another practitioner on Tuesday, actually, interestingly. So if the body's holding on to weight postpartum, there are a few reasons for that. One, of course, is blood sugar. The other, if a mom is breastfeeding, I think we have this idea that, and it does happen for some, but not for everybody, once we start breastfeeding, weight's just going to come off. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, it can tend to happen that way, and weight can come off faster. But if the body just needs more fat to hold and to create more milk, so that's one thing. But if it's still not coming off even with breastfeeding, then I would say if it's not a blood sugar issue, then let's look at your adrenals. Stress wreaks havoc on the body. So when we talk about stress, people think, oh, I have a lot going on in my head. That's one stress. But then physical stress is working out. Physiological stress is I might have indigestion or hormonal imbalances or allergies, anything that's happening internally. Chemical stress, things that are coming from the air, coming from our products. There are tons of stressors. And there's only one stress response. So if you're working out or you're breastfeeding, which is just like a workout for your body, or you have an emotional something going on, or you're being chased by a tiger, it doesn't matter. It's always going to feel like you're being chased by a tiger. So your body's going to hang on to things thinking that I have to save everything I have because I'm going to need it as I endure this race. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I would look at our adrenals and see what kind of stressors our body's dealing with. And the last thing I really look at is thyroid function. And I feel like a lot of women are experiencing a lot of thyroid symptoms lately. It's been it's been a common thing with all the toxins, and the thyroid is kind of right here. It's this little butterfly organ. It's in charge of body temperature, metabolism, works with liver conversion, works with the heart, in charge of bowel movements, mood, motivation. There's so much that it does. And if it's not operating well, you might be really tired, like extra tired. You might have been having very infrequent bowel movements. You can have heart palpitations, especially when you lie down at night. Your heart might start to race and weight might not come off. So,
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. So, I would look at those four things, just kind of see where you're at with the blood work and then where you're at with the symptoms and see if you kind of check all the thyroid boxes or all the adrenal boxes, things like that.
Yeah, I love that. No, I think that stress, we definitely talk about stress as well on the mental health component of the program. And it's just insane how people just, and then it's like your timeline of stress too. It's not just this current moment of stress. It's like, well, if you've had 5 or 6 seriously traumatic events in your life, you very well might have always been under a very intense state of stress, right? And even just like addressing mineral depletion and how that affects it and how everything, is connected, and gut health. And it's such a simple thing. And I think that people tend to neglect that, or again, be so in the moment that I'm fine, I'm good, but then it's more, where else is that happening? And,
Totally.
if you are a full-time mom and you're working and you're having kids running around and I just automatically, that's stressful just saying that out loud.
Yeah, and those are
So,
they're all good. But we want to make sure that you as a mom, no matter what stage of life you're in, whether you're preparing to be a mom or you have grown kids, whatever it is, it can just, there's a lot. There's so much. And so I just want to love on these women and just help them to work through their days, because we were not designed just to survive. We weren't. We were designed to thrive. And so helping women really understand, no matter what stage of the motherhood, or even if you're not a mom, if you're just a working mom or a working professional or whatever it is, you don't have to just survive. You can
right.
really love life and feel really well.
Yeah, I love that. Amen.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll finish up with, I just want to ask 2 quick questions.
Sure.
Any resources that you'd recommend, whether it's a podcast or books or, other practitioners that you follow on Instagram, just to share with the audience in sense of getting more in tune with more education on this topic. And then also kind of how they can work with you and what your process looks like, how they can reach out and all that.
Yeah, for sure. I also want to say I put a time limit on my social media, and it warned me 2 minutes ago that I have 5 minutes left.
Perfect.
And I could get back on, but if it cuts off, that's why.
No worries.
Social media will just take over our lives, and why do that? Yes, there's so many accounts that I follow about all things health. One of my favorites is called Our Mama Village. It's all about good mental health. The other one is called Moomy's Milk, about breastfeeding and what that looks like. A really great podcast that I recommend to people is called Informed Pregnancy, and it's about pregnancy stories, and a lot of it's positive pregnancies, so you get to really feel like, okay, I feel ready to deliver this human.
Absolutely.
Then I follow a lot about children's discipline. I'm really passionate about intentional parenting, so kind of the whole gamut of raising children and mom life. So I'm happy to, if anyone has any specific groups that they want, reach out to me and I will send you who I follow.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then for you?
Yeah. Of course, we work with any human who's breathing. We want everyone to feel well and just to live a great life. Especially if you want to get pregnant, we can really figure out why maybe you're not. And then also, if you are pregnant, we can walk you through that entire process. And I walk you through as far as where you're at now, through the labor and delivery, and then also how to start feeding your children as they get to be that age of food. So many different options, however I can serve. That's the goal.
Awesome. And then your Instagram handle, website, anything like that, people can reach out at.
Yeah. So More Than Food Nutrition Instagram handle. And then we just launched our brand new updated website. Super excited.
Yay!
So www.morethanfoodnutrition.com.
Perfect. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you, Jessica.
Thank you, Kelly.
And I love learning from you and want to support you as much as I can. So we'll stay in touch, but have a great day. And thanks again.
You have a great vacation.
Thanks. We're going to go on a hike today. It's a beautiful day.
Nice. So. Well, you have so much fun. It's so great to talk to you.
You too, Jess. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.